What if your depression was actually your friend and not your enemy? I had this thought recently because for 32 years, I have no idea how long, but for a long, long time, I felt like severely depressed, like suicidal thoughts, crazy stuff like that. What am I doing with my life? I don't want to work for someone else. I don't want to have to slave away and not be able to enjoy a matcha latte in Bali at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. I know it sounds like pretentious or whatever, but I think for me, a lot of my mental health issues stemmed from needing control over my life or needing to feel autonomous, like a regular human being with freedom. And I don't even think that what I want is that like crazy. I think a lot of people have this deep desire to have freedom over their life, you know, to maybe work for themselves or do something meaningful or actually do that. And I think that when we are stuck, whether it's like legitimate stuck reasons can sometimes make us depressed, or lack of belief in ourselves that we can build something for ourselves or have the life that we want, I think that keeps us kind of sad, especially with a toxic environment. Maybe it's also the country that you live in, or your friend group, or your job, or your family, or maybe it's even just like your habits. Maybe it's your smoking, maybe it's your drinking, maybe it's your, bad vices, pornography, doom scrolling, all these things that are essentially making you depressed, more depressed, because there's some sort of, there's some sort of escape for the life that you're living. And you kind of want to build a life where like you don't need to escape from it. Now, obviously, sometimes I doom scroll when I'm bored, when I'm tired and I want to watch some YouTube content, but I see no reason to doom scroll. I see no reason to try to escape from a life when I've escaped my previous life to here. Now, this is sort of a long-winded introduction, but essentially I started thinking about the fact that when I came to Bali about a month ago, I don't actually want any other lifestyle. I go to the gym, I eat some good food, I can go to the beach. This is the most meaningful work I've ever done in my entire life. I am making decent money now, and I finally feel like the depression that I had for years is basically gone. Now, it could come back tomorrow, who knows? And I still have my down moments. I have a headache right now. I was super tired yesterday. Like, yeah, I'm not immune to negative thoughts, but it's no longer this dark cloud. You know, it's rainy season, but, you know, there's no dark clouds on me. What is that? Some kind of inspirational quote? The point is, maybe my depression all along was my brain telling me, you are not living up to your potential. You're not living the life that you actually want. You are not having the habits and actions and thoughts that are going to allow you to have the life that you want. And I think one of the toughest parts when it comes to lack of motivation or that is like depression is going to make you not want to do things. And yeah, we're lazy and you have no energy and maybe you're not hungry or maybe you overeat and stuff. But what if you flipped the script after watching this video and said, maybe my depression, maybe there's a byproduct of like my energy is low, but maybe your depression is telling you that you need to make some changes. And it definitely is. Maybe your depression is not trying to say you don't deserve anything more, you're worthless. What if your depression is saying like, what you are right now is worthless, let's change that. And this also kind of like flow chart ties into the caveman video. If you haven't watched the caveman video, go back and watch it, I'll put it right there. Essentially how the sting of rejection isn't meant to keep you alone, because nowadays we can survive without a partner. The sting of rejection and being alone is supposed to be painful enough while you're alone to motivate you to find someone else. Because if you were a caveman, you'd be dead if you didn't find a partner. So the point is that like maybe your depression now, and I'm not a mental health professional, and this is not mental health advice, because if you have something that is unchanged, your parent dies, or your dog dies, or you have like maybe a chemical problem, if that actually is a thing, then this video isn't for you. But if you feel like there are things you can change about your life that you don't like, maybe it's your diagnosis, maybe it's your lack of confidence, maybe it's that sort of aspect. If we're talking about a herpes diagnosis, you know, the clients that I've worked with have all been able to shift their perspective, rid the shame, make disclosure effortless, and be able to date confidently and attract loving partners. If you want some help with that, I'll leave a video down below, a 3-step process you can watch. And there's a dog here now. So I don't know how anybody could ever be so depressed when there's a cute little dog, okay? But with that being said, I think that our depression is going to motivate us to make some changes. And if you can flip the script, okay, this is, okay, I guess this is part of the video. All right, how are you going to be depressed when there's a video? Okay, go back to your family, all right? What's the video even about? Depression? See, how can you be depressed when stuff like that happens to you? And maybe you gotta go to the dog park or take a trip. And I actually want to also talk about how, what would be the word for this? Unexpected. It was when you always hear online, wherever you go, there you are. So you always hear about, oh, you shouldn't go and travel to like escape your problems because wherever you are, there you. And I actually thought that. And there's been times I went to an all-inclusive Mexican resort and I was depressed and I was anxious for like a week because I didn't know anybody. I went alone during COVID. I didn't have my business up and running and I felt like I didn't deserve to travel. And I was just anxious the whole time. I stayed in the room and watched like the Intern with fucking Halle Berry and Joe De Niro, whatever his name is. I don't know, it's just a weird movie. And when I came here, I actually wasn't my old self, which is weird. So I came here and my depression sort of went away. I don't feel as anxious. I don't feel that depressed. I want to go out and socialize. And that's a big thing too. It's like I have reinforced to myself in a different environment that I'm not a chatty person. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to socialize. But when I'm here, I actually want to actively talk to people. I want to get to know them. I want to like actually, I don't know, it's weird. You know, you might be a totally different person in a different environment and you may have less mental health issues. You might have more mental health issues. Some people go away and they become worse. You know, they have more vices or they don't socialize or they, you know, I don't know. It's weird. And I'm having a lot of sort of realizations about life and who you are and identity and all this deep stuff. And at the end of the day, I don't even have time to talk about herpes. And it just becomes this like non-issue, I guess, because you feel better about yourself. You're in an environment where you don't have the constant toxicity or the constant news cycles or things like that. And I guess the point of the video, because we always like to ramble, was essentially that like, use your anxiety or use your depression, not as a way to keep you stuck, but as a way to motivate you to make some changes. If you can make actual changes to things. So maybe it is like picking up more hobbies or getting rid of the bad habits or trying to identify why you do those bad habits. You know, why do you drink? Why do you smoke weed every day? Why do you stay with that toxic partner? And then think that like your depression is meant to help you, you know? I don't know if anybody should have like lifelong depression. And I know it's this big vicious circle where it's like, I've been depressed for years, but I'm also the same person for years. My depression keeps me stuck for years, but I'm not gonna change because I'm too depressed. And yeah, it's like, it's tough because it literally took me like 32 years of my life to finally take action or make a change or see a difference. And maybe I'll be depressed, you know, next month or something, hopefully not. But I think it took me sort of like trying and failing to make my life something I didn't actually hate. And I think that was the point. It's like my depression, I was never depressed, I just hated my life. And if you hate your life and you can change things, make sure to change those. And if you are watching this video and you're struggling with your diagnosis, depressed about that, there is change that can be made. You can rid the shame, you can make disclosure effortless, you can attract a loving partner. I'll leave my 3-step process video in the description box and I'll see you guys in the next video.